guys, welcome back to Tier 1 Performance. We are back here with another episode of In and Out Talks, and today our special guest is Tyler Starks. Tyler, go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, and how'd you get involved in baseball?
Like you said, I'm Tyler Starks. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I started playing travel ball around 7 years old after a couple years of the normal T-ball rec stuff.
Yeah.
Guess my parents noticed I was doing kind of well, took me some select ball tryouts, and have been doing that year-round ever since. Fall ball, spring ball, the whole nine.
And where'd you end up going? SFA, right?
So I graduated from high school in Mesquite and ended up going to SFA for 4 years, yes.
Wow. What'd you play when you were in high school?
So in high school, North Mesquite High School, I was the starting center fielder for 4 years on varsity, and then from my sophomore to senior year was basically the main pitcher. I closed my freshman year, and then was the main starting pitcher my last 3 years.
So when you so explain to us the recruiting process of how you went from SFA from Mesquite, Dallas, Texas, all the way up to being a lumberjack.
Okay, so recruiting kind of started when I was a sophomore. Went to and did the East Cobb, the whole Georgia thing, all the perfect game stuff. Started getting emails, started getting some calls. Talked to a lot of schools. Talked to Vanderbilt, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, all these bigger schools. But with the way that works, less money from them, more people going for those spots, and SFA honestly gave me the biggest scholarship and the biggest opportunity to play, and I knew the only way to get to the level after that was to play. So
Exactly.
I ended up committing to SFA, big enough to have a good time, enjoy college, but not big enough to be overwhelmed and still get a Division I experience. Went there and did exactly what I wanted to do.
Loved it?
Yeah.
All there 4 years, or?
Yeah, I spent all 4 years there. Was the closer for all 4 years. First 2 years was an All-American. Played in the Cape my junior year and left
Who'd you play for in the Cape?
In the Cape, I played for the Brewster Whitecaps.
Whitecaps? Oh, man.
I think that would have been 2018, the year after they won the championship out there.
Well, that would have been my senior year, so
Yeah.
that was your junior year. All right, yes. Oh, dude, man, they were really good. They were really
very
good. You saw some dudes back in the day.
Yeah, I was the first and only kid from my conference to go play in the Cape. So everyone there had
first ever?
Yeah, first ever from the Southland Conference, and
I was about to say.
everyone kind of looked at me from where?
From where? No one knows who Stephen F. Lawson is up there, right?
All Power 5 kids, all the dudes from everywhere. It was
Did you love the
nuts.
Cape?
Oh, dude, it was amazing. Great weather, phenomenal baseball.
Great crowds.
Yeah, it's
Good
summer
time.
catch in real life.
Yeah.
Bro.
It's a dream.
It was literally a dream, and
MLB scouts looking at you the whole time you play.
and you
Some
find
people-
out everyone's just as good.
just you, if not better, right?
If not better.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of in the sense the most, I guess, analytical time of your career because you're always under watch by the MLB
Yes.
scouts. But you can either do one or two things. You can either fold or you can flourish.
Yes.
And be like, hey, I'm with the best. If I can beat the best, I am.
Yeah,
the best.
if you're competing and holding on at that level, it only shows what it's going to be like in the future, because the higher up you get, the lower on the totem pole it seems like you end
Yeah.
up. You become the average. You're the best here, and then you become the average here, and it just all levels out. But if you can hold your own there, then you can definitely play after that for sure.
So you went to SFA as a two-way guy.
Yes, so I would say my two-wayness ended my sophomore year after just kind of pitched myself out of a hitting role. I showed up and was doing both. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very, very
Different mindsets.
Yeah, you're trying to throw pins, and next thing you know, you're hitting live in inter-squad versus the Friday night senior, and you haven't even hit off a tee yet.
Yeah.
All you've done is throw a bullpen, and you're just kind of rolling into it. And I just pitched myself out of that role. It was just, you're lucky for me. I did really well, so you don't get a lot of lefties throwing as hard as I did, but you can find outfielders who are taller than 5'7", So I just kind of pitched myself out of a hitting role.
So what kind of level were you at when you were in high school? What got you noticed? Were you throwing 88 off the mound, running a 6'4"? Were you playing in specific types of tournaments? Were you hitting in high school? I was hitting over 400. What kind of accolades did you think made you get noticed for SFA or the Vandy's or the bigger schools?
So I had a really fortunate combination of success and exposure. So I would say sophomore years when it really started, ended up playing for Dallas Tigers mainly and kind of filling in for the Banditos and the FTBs. But high school, by the time I graduated, I was 88 consistently for sure. I was running a 6'4", 6'5" consistently, and
Right.
my junior year I hit 585, and we were 6A. struck out once, and that was to Tyler Ivey, like a third-round pick of the Astros out of high school. So unfortunately, I hit really well, but I'd also pitched really well. I think I had like a 1.2 ERA and had struck out like over 100 people in like 70 innings.
Right.
And that was without playoffs. So
Yeah.
fortunately, it was success and exposure combination. I don't believe you have to play in certain things, but it does help succeeding on that level where people are constantly, because if you're playing good people and you're still kind of standing out.
So your recruiting process was kind of the pathway of like, I'm playing with a bunch of guys around the Division I level,
Yes.
and I got recruited and they're contacting me.
Absolutely. Like it was, they were there to watch because everyone there was pretty much going there. That was the next. It wasn't a question of it. It was like these guys are either they're getting popped for the draft or they're playing
Exactly.
at least high level junior college baseball. And then, yeah, like I want to say my entire summer ball team, I can pretty much rattle off where they all ended up going. Like no one fell through the cracks.
So you're probably one of the true people on this podcast that have been recruited the same way as me and Mitch. So you played for Banditos and Dallas Tigers?
Played for Dallas Tigers and I'd come up to Houston where I'm now to play for the Banditos. Yes.
Yeah, because we played for Houston Heat, and where we would go, my teammate was Tyler Kolick, Steven Kolick, Trey Supak. You know those guys.
Played with the Kolex.
Yeah, so we figured this out a couple months ago that me and him had met before, but at the area code where I actually had no idea who he was, and we were all there together doing this trial for Team America. But I mean, like I think our class for sure, and I think you were playing. You got invited up.
Yeah.
'Cause you were on the younger guys.
Yeah.
But my class for sure had some dudes. Like
It's absurd. Like
Yeah.
like I showed up to area code and like for the first time had touched like 90-91 and had a dude throwing next to me that made me look like I was throwing change ups. Like, and I was like I'm having my best day and this dude's over here just like breaking the mitt with easy.
I don't know if
gas.
you remember Stone Garrett.
Bro, yes.
Yes, so Stone Garrett
Got raked.
he was
Got raked.
He was the number one outfielder for my class, and I remember I had to bat third, so he was first. Another dude from Kyle Chapman, a lefty, I think he ended up going to Rice, and then it was me. And I remember right before we're playing, doing BP, he goes up and he just turns to that group of us and he's like, dude, it's all about hitting the oppo bombs. And I was like, in BP, this guy's throwing like 30 miles an hour, and every single swing he
Backside
hit was
nuke.
backside
nuke.
On like a 375 gap field, and he was just easily, effortlessly putting it over. And I mean, like, to me, I was like, that's got to be the most impressive thing I've ever seen, because I'm putting it over in left field, but when I tell you I was swinging 110%, just trying to show off how far I could hit a bomb. And
that was Joe Davis for us, dude. He was probably our best hitter. He won every home run derby from the Under Armour one to the area code one. This dude got to the night game and went hitting like multiple jacks every night game for the H area code 7. Was like,
it's ridiculous. You're like, these guys are freaks of nature.
Yeah, I'm watching these dudes on bullpens. I'm like, how are we gonna hit these guys? And this dude was just like easy, like BP hacks, just backsiding bombs in the games. I was like, dude, this guy's.
And it's so funny because, like you said, like it's being with those guys that were either going D1 or they're getting drafted. My team was just like that. Same with Mitch's team. And I mean, we played against a whole bunch of people that are in the MLB now, if not still in the minor league system.
Absolutely.
That play college. But on this podcast, we have shown that there are different avenues to get recruited. You can go the JUCO route, NAI, D1, D2, D3. You can even go from high school to pro, or you can go, straight by going to camps, reaching out to coaches via DM, Twitter, or you can just get in the circuit if you're at that level, at that age, to go out and play against all these dudes. Like for my summer ball team, for the Houston Heat, we had guys either going to San Jack or D1.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had two guys get drafted. So
I think our two JUCO guys went to Howard, and then I know one went to Tech, and then Sam Houston, and then the other one I'm pretty sure went straight to Sam Houston. So they both were in JUCO for like a year, and then immediately went to high level Division I programs.
Yeah.
Like while I was in college, Sam was top 25 nationally.
Yes.
For at least 3 to 4 years, going to super regionals, and so it was. Like everyone was just at that level, and you don't even think about it because it's just where you're at, and it's.
When Sam went deep, I had 2 ex-teammates, 2 friends of mine, Hunter Hearn and Andrew Frugier.
Dude, Frugier?
Yeah, okay. I love Frugier. He's a boss. I still talk to him every now and then on this day. I gotta get him on one of these days. But Frugier, him and Hearn was a catcher
He ended up playing right field.
He ended up playing outfield because I think their catcher was an All-American. He was a freak of nature.
Yeah, their catcher was very good.
Yes, and then Frige was shortstop.
Yeah,
they balled out, and I loved
Frige was
them.
good, man. Hearn could hit. Frige had sneaky pop. That dude could play.
Frige would just randomly out of nowhere hit a bomb, like at a bomb.
Oh,
and
dude.
Hearn was a consistent line
double
driver.
He was a double guy, guaranteed.
Yeah,
like
love
he would
guys.
get.
They were
Played a
young,
3-game
too.
set. He was getting 6 hits, and it was just what it was.
So they're just like you. They were younger playing up.
Yes.
In my grade, because when we were all there, I was like, those two were committed like Sam Houston. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And they're boys, like they're friends, and I was like, it's all fun going to that circuit. So when you got to high school, when you got to college at SFA, what really like turned it around for you to make that jump to I'm playing at a professional level? Like, what did you learn or what did you change about your, because obviously you grew and evolved as a player in college. What specifically helped you go from being a collegiate player to this is going to take me to the pro level?
I think it developing from like just love to discipline. Like you get there and in a sense it's forced discipline because you're on a rigid schedule, but then it becomes like who you are. Like you get there and it mainly starts with the weights and the timing and everything. You get there and it's like you got to be up at this time doing this, getting this done, and then it becomes less about I have to do this and this is what I'm doing, and then it adapts to every part of your life to where it's how you treat not just weights in class to how I practice, what I'm doing on my own for where I'm trying to get to, like, and you're doing more than what's required, more than just the practice. You're there early, and for me it's the flat grounds, the short boxes, the extra plyo ball reps, and the everything you're not having to do that you're now doing because it's just ingrained in you. I think I always loved the game, but as a high schooler, which I've seen a lot of people be better about this, but you tend to lack the discipline. You're immature. You lack just the discipline all around. Like you love it, but you're not disciplined. And I think when I got to college, the discipline of having to do what I had to do is what did it.
Yeah,
100%.
Would you attribute that to you as like more self-growth, or are you seeing guys before you like looking up to those upperclassmen that were doing that already? Or was it more something like you found out through a coach or you found out through an old teammate or other people like, if I want to get here, this is what it takes?
Yeah, a mix. I think later on it became more upperclassmen. I think my upperclassmen as I got to like my sophomore, junior year were a little bit more role model-esque. But I think it was self-growth, like I got there and officially like realized like this is what it's going to take. This is what it's going to have to be if I'm going to want to not just be a random dude here. Like I want to be a guy. And it's going to take working like the dude to be a dude. And then the biggest thing for me was a buddy of mine who's now with the Detroit Tigers. He's set up / leading the guy's name is Will Vest. Shortstop when I was a freshman year, goes to his pro day. They put him on the mound because loved him to death. He couldn't hit. But he had a cannon. They put him on the mound. He pops like a 94, but he also pops his UCL.
Oh, damn.
Immediately, like I'm talking like a pitch on the pin, gone. Like one pitch, he pops a 94, he's done.
He's done.
It was nuts. And then, but watching him and his discipline work through that, and he came back in my sophomore year. He's our setup guy for me. I'm closing. He's our setup guy. He's 96, 97.
That's a hell of a setup guy.
Yeah. And this dude used to be a shortstop. And, like, this dude, like, let's put it this way. When he hit a home run MVP, we'd in practice. Like, we'd in practice go home. Like, this is how bad he was at hitting. But dude got on the mound. It was, like, dominant. You just, like, no one deserved it more. Like, he was there, like, grinding out the rehab process. And it was like, wow.
Just for the ability to
Yeah,
pitch.
for a hope.
Yeah.
Dude, the dude never pitched. He's not a pitcher, and he's grinding for a hope to maybe. He doesn't know he's gonna be good at it. He's grinding for hope. The last avenue he has to probably keep playing.
Yeah.
And it pays off big time. The dude's upper 90s, and now he's in the bigs.
That's
like
crazy.
Getting out. So like,
I kind of have a similar story. I have an old teammate and a really good friend of mine, Tyler Brocious. He came in as an outfielder, and he was my backup for like 2 years, and I think he redshirted, and then it was coming down to as him as a player, he was competing with like 4 other guys for just 2 starting spots, and we were only gonna keep one backup. So like his hitting wasn't coming along as it was, and he's kind of built like I think he was actually skinnier than you, a little bit taller. He's around like 6 foot, 6'1", but he's talking to me about it, and he's like, man, he goes, I don't know, like I'm kind of worried about, like I really want to play, I really want to stay here, but he also realizes like, hey, I know you're not going anywhere anytime soon
Yeah.
because I was a junior. This was a big year for me, and I was like, dude, like, I was like, you should probably aim for more of a corner spot, or then like I think we were fooling around in the back in the cages, and he just dips down, throws a submarine pitch, and I was like,
Hey.
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I was like,
you might have something there, bro.
I was like, that was pretty good. He goes, really? I was like, he's like, yeah, you think you could actually pitch like that? And he goes, oh, he's like, I don't know, maybe you think I should talk to coach? And I was like, you have to talk to coach.
Yeah.
And so they gave him like a pen. They saw him. He was throwing like 80, 81.
From like down here.
From
like
down
that
here.
works.
And like you or I was notorious for always having one submarine guy. We've had a submarine guy for the past like 8 years.
I can't name a time like
Yeah.
on any team where you didn't have the one like the dude with the specs, and
Yeah.
the sidearm like in the stirrups.
Yeah.
Like he was there.
He was
there.
just missing specs. He had the stirrups and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but he was just missing the specs. But I mean, our coaches go like, all right, yeah, from now on you're a PO, and he busted his butt doing it and throwing it, mastering a slider. I mean, his slider would start behind me and break towards the plate. I don't know if I think I graduated by the time he developed a third pitch, but he became a submarine reliever, and he ended up going to the Cape.
Oh,
and
wow.
he had a chance to get drafted, but I believe he chose to go to grad school. And for some people, that's like,
Hey, that's not a bad route to take.
he's not doing bad at all. He's living his life. He's having a great time
good.
up in Jersey. But like, yeah, I was like, it was one of those freaking nature stories. Like you never saw a guy like it's like he's coming back, not pitching. Like you pitch in high school, but he pitched over the top.
Yeah.
Now he's coming in as a submarine guy from down here, and he's trying to do his best just for hope, like you said. Yeah. And he freaking made it. And I love guys like that because they're just gamers. They're just
like
dudes that'll freaking
absolutely.
Do it. So going into now your professional career, walk us through the process from you playing college ball to getting recruited to play in the MLB or for the draft.
Yeah, so with that, I would say, I was really fortunate. I had my first 2 years were great. I pitched really well. And then you roll into your junior year pro day, in the fall. Had a really good outing in our pro day, faced like 5 batters. Then from there, it's stay after. You're talking to people, and they're like, hey, like, we're going to be following you. We like this about you. Like, these are kind of the things we want to see from you. Like what they're looking for, like, hey, like, we're looking for...
They were talking to you, the scouts were talking to you.
Yeah,
like,
in fall, leading up to that season, like I had... So that fall was... I want to say I'd signed my Cape contract before this.
Yeah, you usually signed it the first
Yeah, so I
weeks.
used it especially with the Cape, they got like this.
like
I got
this.
back to school and I was like...
It wasn't a temp, though. You were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
Okay.
like full... They signed me to a full take, boom. And I was like, okay, awesome. Like, if you want to play somewhere, that's normally it. Like,
that's the top league. So
Yeah.
I think it goes... the Cape, and then I kind of have the NECBL and the Northwoods kind of the same area, and then anything else is underneath that.
Yeah,
but Cape is, if you want to get looked at professionally, you play.
Absolutely,
You do
like,
whatever
and it happened, and I was like, it was super surreal. And then I had a great pro day. Talked to the guys. I'd were like, hey, we want to see you hold your velo over the year. Want to see you just be healthy, be what you have been.
Right.
Maybe develop a more consistent third pitch, whatever it is they're looking for, and then they just follow you out throughout the year. There's some come and watch you. There's some contact here and there, like at certain stuff. Like, hey, you look good. Like, what you look like. Look forward to July, all that stuff like that.
Did you have an agent at that time, or they just?
I did not. It was just struggling through me.
Interesting.
And then, about 3/4 of the way through my junior year, I popped my lat, my entire left lat, tear it. I'm out for 2.5 months. Sit that out, come back probably like the last 3 series.
Is that without rehab, or that's just straight rest?
Straight, some small rehab, some grassing, some muscle, just acupuncture type stuff, just trying to, and it was real bad. It hurt awful. But came back after that stint, got to like the last probably 2 or 3 series, pitched pretty well, but was the small dude who got hurt, so I don't get popped my junior year, which is saddening a little bit because, once you get to your senior year, it's take this or be an adult. Yeah, your leverage is gone.
Exactly.
But either way, leverage or not, so what I wanted to do, so I came back, had a pretty normal to me senior year, had a good one, got my interest back, and then got drafted by the Orioles.
What round?
This time, so it happened to me in high school later. And this time was...
All right, he kind of just glazed over.
I glazed over that.
That he got drafted.
That I got drafted in high school. I got drafted in high school by the Orioles. Nate Showalter, Bucks kid, was the one looking at me. It was them and the Yankees. Orioles took me in the 24th round after high school. out of college was the 18th.
No, way better.
Yeah, way better. Had shown better velo more consistently because in high school I was like popped 91 a few times on some big stages when I had too much adrenaline to even handle.
You just freaking going for it.
College was in a role I had really mastered that wasn't putting a big toll on my body. I was a closer and was popping mid-90s a lot all the time. Basically, was never not. Got picked up, went, played, got up to Aberdeen, got up to single A.
Single A, yeah.
And then COVID. COVID cut. Like a lot of us.
A lot of the teams were just cut, not even just individual players. It was like straight.
So that got cut there, and then there's not even a workout to go do independent ball at that point because COVID shut everything down. So
you were out of it.
And then so that's what led me to where I'm at now.
Which is at DBAT.
Yeah, so now professional instruction kind of almost fell into my lap. Was looking for something to do to hold over the time. Mm-hmm. Like, where can I work and train simultaneously? So I was still training, still looking at going to get indie ball stuff done.
Without even knowing when the pandemic's going.
Yeah, you have no idea. So I'm just working, trying to stay in baseball shape.
So yeah, the experience is kind of a lot of people think it's usually like a fairy tale ending.
No,
it's really quite brutal.
It's pro ball's an absolute grind. You have your poster boys, and honestly, even for them, it's not even super pretty. I mean, the money's better because of the huge signing deal, but once they get there, they're in the same grind.
Same bus.
Some progress quicker than others, but they're on the same bus in the same clubhouses as you. Like, we're all in the same spot.
It's not all glamorous. A lot of the movies kind of skip over it, but it's not glamorous. It's actually quite nasty if I had to.
Yeah, it's
put it that way.
It's not what you think it is, but
it's a grind for sure.
You truly find out if it's what you want to do or not, and it's a test worth passing. It's not for everyone. That's why not everyone makes it. But
correct, and it's a business.
It is a business. It's not all.
It's not for the love of the game anymore. Yeah,
no,
it's a little bit.
Absolutely
it's
not.
Way more beyond that. Once you put money on the table, and you put results and expectations, and you put a bunch of guys that are at the top of their game. Top 1% of the world of baseball players are in the MLB, right? Just the system. Now, I'm not talking about up there in the MLB. I'm talking about in the whole minor league MLB organization. Top 1%.
It is humbling to have a price put on how well you play a game you love. Like, you love it and you think you're good, and then someone puts a monetary value on what they think your game is worth, and it's like, oh.
He's like, you could have been an All-American for 3 years coming out of some mid-major D1, and they think you're worth $10,000.
Yeah.
And then you got a kid coming out of high school that throws 98 that's never even seen a college field before or played with you, and he is worth $3 million.
It is absolutely.
You were here. Best of luck. Some people start like in track. Some people start in lane 3. Other people start in lane 8. Like
let's find out what you're made of.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
That's what it is.
And there's a grind. And some people can't handle that.
They fold.
Yeah,
like we talked about earlier with college, everything you find out if you're gonna fold or flourish, and a lot of people fold. But the ones that flourish are the dudes you see on that big stage, absolutely handling business like they've been there their whole life.
Yeah. So what kind of advice? So I'm gonna kind of take this question in 2 parts. So what kind of advice would you give high schoolers trying to get recruited by colleges now? And then from the latter end, what would you give? What advice would you give for college players trying to go pro?
So as far as getting to college, I would, in 2 senses, establish discipline in every single asset of your life, because that's what it's going to require. It's more than do you hit off the tee, do you throw your bullpens. It is how you handle every bit of preparation. So absolutely discipline in every facet. I wish I would have taken the gym portion more seriously. I'm obviously not a large guy. I think being stronger would only benefit me more, and I think that's the one place I lack discipline. And it shows, like, anytime you don't make it as far as you want to, something's got to be the reason.
Oh, there's always, you're exposed. Your game is exposed for this.
Yeah, and I totally believe I could have been stronger to uphold more. Who's to say I don't pop my lat or whatever. But the first thing is have discipline in every asset of your life. The second one would be everyone wants to be a 5-tool guy. Very little of us are. Yeah. Establish what your loud tools are and sharpen them to the best of your ability. Make your strengths your absolute strengths.
Yeah, you gotta drop your ego, because a lot of people be like, "Hey, you can't. You're very weak. You're weak hitting on the opposite side of the field." And be like, "No, I'm not." Like, all right, well,
accept it.
Really, like accept that you are.
You are not bigger than the game. There's something wrong with your game in most parts. Like, accept it. But if you can run with the best of them. If you can hit doubles. Like, accept what you are and be the best at it. And that's going to be. They're looking for the 5-tool guy, but there's very little of them.
It's very hard to come by.
A tool can get you somewhere. I've seen guys who can just run I got a buddy of mine, Nick Heath, plays with Diamondbacks. Can only run. But guess what? He ran better than anybody else, and now he's running for the Diamondbacks so he can track down a fly ball and he can run out a ground ball in the hole to shortstop.
Yeah.
Like,
but he's not hitting 500.
No.
Have your weapon that you can absolutely go. And so, funny stories, like my hitting coach in high school was Jeff Edwards, scout for the Colorado Rockies. And I remember, I think it was like my sophomore year, I just had a freak out year, and like I had people talking to me from Scout Day. Scout Day, Pro Day, for everyone else, the same thing. You go through a workout where all these professional MLB scouts come out and they look at you and they evaluate each player and they talk to whoever they want. So at that point, I was being talked to the Astros, the Reds, Angels, and the Chicago White Sox, and the Mariners. Like those 5. But really, on Philadelphia. But Philadelphia and the Reds and the Angels were giving me the most attention. And I mean, you had to do that test, and you're filling out all the paperwork and all that stuff. And so I was talking throughout the whole fall, and then throughout the whole spring, I was getting and I was like, maybe I'll get a temp at the Cape or whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's just cold turkey, just nothing. Yeah. I hear nothing, and I ended up reaching out to Jeff, and I guess he'd been keeping up with me, and I asked him, I was like, hey, like, where am I exposed at? Like, I was like, I want to get drafted, I want to play the next level. I was like, what am I missing? And when I tell you, I've never had someone roast me alive.
Yeah,
I was all conference, whatever. I had batted .350. Like, I had 10 steals. But
you have to have those people.
Yeah.
You have to have those people.
Yeah, he tore me apart to where, like, at first, because I am not above my own ego, I was offended.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I was like, oh my God. I was like, do you think I'm just garbage? Like, do you think I just
Is there anything I do well?
Yeah.
Is there anything I do well?
Questioning, I was like, should I even play this game? He destroyed me, but he exploited me because he goes, I just want you to put it in perspective, because where do you think the guys that he deals with on a regular basis are at? And he goes, if I'm putting myself up to those guys, he goes, you're not even at the starting line yet.
Yeah.
So he's like, he goes, you're not fast enough to be considered
plus runner.
Like a plus, or not like a plus runner, but he goes, you don't hit the ball hard enough to not be considered a fast guy. You can't. He's like, you're somewhere in between being super strong and then super fast, and it's like they combine in the middle.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't swing the ball, you don't swing enough home runs to be considered a power hitter. And he goes, but you don't steal enough bases to be considered a plus runner.
Yeah.
And like that's where it kind of fell in, and I was like, all right, so I need to do one or the other, or I need to do
You got to find out who you are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. And he goes, he's like, a lot of your bases aren't extra base hits, but I have plus speed, and a lot of my hits actually came from drag runs, because if a guy just gives me, I'm like, I'm going to take the free base.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it became a spot where typical only black guy on the team, I get on first base, I get picked off like 3, I don't get picked off, but they're picking me off. Like,
there's pick off attempts constantly.
And I'm like, and like after the 5th one, I'm tired. I'm not really saying that catcher throws a 1-8. Yeah. Like, I think
truly your game's been taken out of the bag.
I stole my first collegiate bag from Florida, and dude, I swear to God, they would never let me get farther than 10 feet off the bag after that. Like, I was like, I can't even. And I tried to do it again. I tried to steal third, and I got thrown out. Like, I was like, man, like, it's different it's different at the next level. But yeah, you have to have those guys tell you the truth and be brutally honest.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, all right, now I need to work on my power. And now I need to work on my speed, or he's like, your arm is not at a caliber where you're consistently throwing like 93 plus from the outfield. You're not gunning anybody down. Your extra assists aren't there. He goes, defensively, you're fine. You can catch anything, but that's expected of a guy of your caliber. Yeah. Like, you're a center fielder, catch the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just to put in perspective, like Harrison Bader, I played against him in Florida. He was not even a center fielder. He's a center fielder for the Yankees, but he's not a center fielder. He wasn't a center fielder for the University of Florida. He was a right fielder, and he was the dude that hits bombs, tanks. He hit the farthest opposite field home run in a game I've ever seen. Cleared the scoreboard, but he's not that power hitter guy at the Yankees right now.
Yeah,
he's a contact, get on base kind of guy, because they got Giancarlo Stanton, they got Judge, they got other dudes that can do that, and just goes to show you that even though he had
at the next level, your game may not be your game.
Yeah, that's
insane.
It's different. It's changing, and I think that's really good advice.